Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga with me and Lily. Here's little baby. That's her nickname, little baby. So we're going to do gentle yoga, and we have a theme for class, which is our fifth yama from the book The Yamas and Niyamas: Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practices. So go ahead and start however would feel comfortable for you. I have a lot of props that I like to use. So blocks, maybe blanket, strap, chair, and of course the mat. So feel free to either sit upright or if you like, you can come to lying on your back. We will start class later with some poses on the back, so this might be a nice place to start. Just really allow yourself to arrive. You could walk your feet as wide as the mat. Allow your knees to tent in towards each other. Maybe even rest your hands right there on your belly. And start to sense the rise and fall of your breath. Beginning to invite yourself into this present moment, you could just notice your thoughts. This is a practice of mindfulness, bringing awareness to your thoughts and then inviting any thoughts of the past to subtly fade away, allowing your plans for the future to wait, and just taking a moment to tune in. As you begin to arrive, there might be a specific intention for your practice today, something you would like to cultivate, or something you'd like to release. And I'll offer you the idea of this fifth yama today, which is called, let me find it, Aparigraha. And Aparigraha means non-possessiveness. So I'll just do a short reading from the book by Deborah Adele. She says, Aparigraha, or non-possessiveness, can be interpreted as non-attachment, non-greed, non-clinging, non-grasping, and non-coveting. We can simply think of it as being able to let go. Loving and living fully without becoming attached is not an easy thing. When we experience the completeness of being loved, the satisfaction of a superb meal, the acknowledgement of work well done, we can easily want to hold on to these moments and never let them go. It is easy to want the same satisfaction and begin to demand the same fulfillment from these things again and again. But it is the nature of things to change. And by failing to let them change or move on, they begin to disappoint us. And our attempts to hold on begin to make us stale and discontent. What we try to possess possesses us. How do we move through life loving deeply and engaging fully without getting attached? looking at the inhale and exhale of the breath can give us a glimpse into the ability to let go rather than be attached. The guideline of Aparigraha invites us to let go and to pack lightly for our journey through life, all the while caring deeply and enjoying fully. If those words speak to you, you might imagine whatever your intention is today as a glowing jewel at your heart center. And then, as we often do, we can start to invite some movement into the body. You might sweep your arms out wide into a letter T, walk your feet as wide as the mat, and then just begin to gently rock the knees from side to side. Maybe you even want to start to turn your gaze in either direction, almost like gently shaking the head no. Allowing yourself this opportunity to practice those boundaries of saying no with grace and fluidity. You can take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. Bring the arms next to the hips. Walk the feet in so they're underneath the knees. And then we're going to start out with some bridge and some rainbow arms. So on your next inhale, go ahead and sweep the arms up and overhead, reaching them past the ears. Find a long body stretch for the upper back. And then exhale, float the hands back down towards the hips. You can press into the earth. We'll inhale to lift the hips up into bridge. Exhale, lower the spine back down, one vertebrae at a time. And you can alternate arms and hips, following the pace of your own breath. You might just start cultivating Ujjayi breathing. This is the warrior breath. Just listen for it like the sound of the ocean waves. And it's breathing in and out through the nose with a slight constriction at the back of the throat so that you can hear the sound of your breath as if you were fogging up a mirror. Take one more nice deep breath in each position. And the next time you float up into bridge, you could hold your bridge. And maybe you want to shimmy the arms underneath the body to interlace your hands behind you in more of an active bridge. Or if you have a block handy, you could always slide a block or blanket or pillow underneath the sacrum to come into a supported bridge. Take a few rounds of breath in your supported bridge, a gentle inversion. And if you have the block underneath your low back, if it would feel good, you could slide your legs up towards the sky and maybe point and flex your toes or rotate your ankles. And if you're gazing up at your feet, can you offer them gratitude for all the places they've taken you? We'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then go ahead and return your feet back down to the mat. We'll press into the heels, lift the hips, and slide the block out from underneath you. From here, we'll slide the hips a little to the right, allow the knees to float over to the left, and come into a nice big twist. So you can start to send your gaze over towards your right hand. You could really just soften here, relax into your twist. Or if you felt like you wanted to include a little bit of movement, you might start to dial your right hand up and overhead, gliding along the floor, and then reach towards your left hand. And then you can come back the way you came, returning into your twist, remembering that everything I offer is optional. You have agency and choice to decide what is best for you and your body today. And my hope is that I'm giving you sort of a menu of different options to choose from. The next time you come over onto your side, or if you are doing that movement, we'll all roll onto the side. You could prop your head up on your hand, or you could use the block here as a pillow. And I have mine on the medium setting, and I'm just allowing my head to rest on the block, extending the left arm out. We're going to do some work to strengthen through our glutes. So we'll do some clamshells, gluing the heels together. You can inhale to lift the top knee. Exhale to lower it. Find a few rounds of breath, sensing into the strength of your glute muscles. You can take as many or as few of these movements as feels good in your body. Some of you might have gone to physical therapy. Maybe you have a stretchy TheraBand, and you could always make this a little more challenging for yourself by strapping the thighs. I'm going to skip that part today, but I do have a TheraBand. Go ahead and find a few more rounds of breath here. And then we'll pause this movement. You can slide the knees back so they're in a straight line with the body, and you might lift the top knee and bring it down in front, hopefully finding a nice stretch through the glutes. And maybe you want to use a block here instead, just to lift the knee up higher. You could bring your fist to your glute muscle and give it a little massage. And then we'll roll back onto our back, and let's find a figure four pose. So you can cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and you could leave your left foot on the floor, or you might draw the shape into the body, either grabbing hold behind the left thigh or wrapping your hands or grabbing hold of your pant legs, or you could even use a strap here, or if you have a wall or furniture space that you can rest that left leg onto. Take some nice deep breaths into your glute muscle, thanking it for its service. You can imagine gratitude overflowing from the heart, circling around the hip. Take one more nice deep breath, and then we'll release that pose. Walk your feet a little bit wider than the mat and just allow the knees to one more time sashay a little side to side. When you're ready, we're going to get ready to do all of that on the other side. So I'll just move over. And then from here, we're going to find that twist. So you can bring the hips a little over to the left, allow the knees to fall to the right. Open your arms up into a letter T and just allow yourself to soften into the twist. Almost like wringing out a dishcloth. Notice where your breath is moving within your body and see if you want to try those rainbow arms with the left arm. So you might glide the left arm, dial it up and overhead, grazing it along the earth, and then rolling onto your right side as you reach the left arm past your right fingertips. You might find this movement a few more times. Breathing into any areas of sensation in the body. The next time you roll onto your right side, you can either prop your head up on your hand, supporting your head in like a, maybe like it's just like a sleepover pose, or you might slide the block underneath your head and just reach your arm out long. Whatever feels right for you and your body. And then we'll go ahead and find some mobility for the hips, some strengthening with our clamshells. So keeping the body relatively still, not really leaning back. Imagining the torso could stay still. We'll glue the heels together and you can lift and lower the top knee. Offering some strengthening for the glutes to help support our knees. You might notice subtle differences from left to right, allowing for compassion and curiosity. Maybe you could float the gratitude from your heart space down into your hip joint. Find one more nice deep breath on this side. And then we'll come back to stillness. You can slide the legs back. You might bring your top knee up and down either to the ground or to a block for support, and maybe offer yourself a little massage here with your fist, just giving a little pound to the glutes. When you're ready, we're going to release that, roll onto the back, and find your version of figure four. So crossing the the left ankle over the right thigh, and either staying here with your right foot on the ground or hugging the shape into the body. And you could also press the right foot up against some furniture, a chair, a wall, so that you could release the grip. You could interlace your hands behind your thigh or maybe wrap a strap behind your thigh. Just find some nice deep breaths here. When you're ready, we'll release this side and return both feet to the mat. Maybe a little windshield wiper action would help here. We're going to come up into a seat next when you feel ready. So you can either roll onto one side, press yourself up into a seat, or you might hug your knees into your chest Maybe it would feel good to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, like a little, I don't know what, might be a nice massage for the back. Once you come up into a seat, we're going to try boat pose next, Navasana. So you can plant your feet on the mat with your knees lifted up towards the sky. You can tuck your hands behind your thighs and then begin to lean back. You could also support yourself with your hands here. You could lift your shins to be parallel with the earth, lifting the heart, finding the strength in your core to keep you buoyant. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the soles of the feet to touch. Open the knees out wide to the sides, lift the heart and the chest, and then exhale, fold forward any amount. We call this one Baddha Konasana or cobbler's pose. You might bring your hands to your feet and just offer your feet a little massage here. Take one more nice deep breath, maybe bowing forward. And then let's inhale to lift the heart. You can lean the hands back, step the feet out wide. And one more time, we'll find that windshield wiper action. Bringing the knees one at a time in towards center, any amount that feels good to you. Now feel free to find a seat either on a blanket or pillow. If I take my blanket and I fold it, I can make a nice little cushion to sit on. And sometimes it's easier to sit on the floor if you have a little cushion to lift your hips. From here, we'll take the right leg out long, and you can start to turn your torso to face your right leg, flexing the right toes a little towards the knee. I'm going to use my blocks here to frame the leg, and then you can inhale, lift the heart, exhale to begin to fold over your extended leg, any amount. You can keep your hands rooted down on the ground or the blocks, or if it feels good, you could reach for the foot. Another option would be to use the strap here to extend your arms and find a little bit of leverage. So whatever feels good to you. I rather like my hands on blocks, leaning the torso forward, finding a straight spine as much as you can, allowing your heart to melt towards your leg. Here's a pretty little baby. And one more nice deep breath here, maybe a millimeter more of space to bow towards the leg. And then we'll inhale to rise to center, bring the torso back to center. And then we're going to find a side bend. So you can drape your right hand on your right leg, or maybe you even bring your elbow onto a block. And then you can start to sweep your left arm up towards the sky, allowing for a side bend. You're almost reaching over towards your right foot. Send your breath cascading down the left side of your body. You might even gaze up towards your fingertips. And when you're ready, we'll come back up to center. And we're going to take an upright twist now. So go ahead and inhale both arms up towards the sky. Exhale, draw them into the heart. And then you can start to turn towards your left knee. You could release your hands so that your right hand finds the inseam of your left thigh, or maybe it can reach all the way around to the left knee for leverage. And then I'm going to use a block right behind me to support my left hand and turn the gaze over the left shoulder, peeking behind you. With each inhale, imagine you could lengthen your spine a little bit longer, allowing the crown of your head to reach up towards the sun. And each exhale might give you just a millimeter more space in your twist. When you're ready, we'll unwind the twist, coming back to center. You can bend the knees and maybe lean back, windshield wipering the knees a little side to side. Find gratitude in your heart for the symmetry and asymmetry in your body, how we have two sides, so we get to do the other side now. So we'll bring the left foot in towards, or sorry, the right foot in towards the left thigh, extend the left leg out in front, set yourself up with support if you like. We'll inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale to fold over towards the left leg, any amount. You could plant your hands on support, on the leg, reach for the toes. You have so many variety of options. So find what works for you, realizing there's no end goal. Wherever you're at today, just notice, allowing the shape to be infinite. Lengthening the spine with each inhale and allowing for a little bit deeper of a fold with your exhale. You could even round over that leg if that felt good. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then with your next inhale, we'll come back up to center. And we're going to set up for the side bend. So I'm going to use my block on the high setting here, or you can drape your left hand on your left leg, glide it down the inseam of your leg as you reach the right arm up and overhead, maybe turning your gaze up towards your fingertips. It's kind of nice, I think, to rest my elbow on support and then rest my head on my fist or the palm of my hand. Allow your breath to cascade down the side of your body. Allowing your heart to open up towards the sky. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. With your next inhale, we'll rise back up to center. You can reach both arms up towards the sky and then exhale, draw your hands into your heart space. We'll start to turn to the right for our twist. So you can stay right here with your hands at your heart or release your left hand into your inseam of your left leg. Maybe bring a block behind you to rest your right hand, and then you could even bring your opposite hand to opposite knee, peeking your gaze behind you. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. Exhale to twist a millimeter more. Once more, feeling the effects of wringing it out. We'll take one more nice deep breath. And with your next inhale, you can unwind your twist, coming back to center. If you like, you can do the windshield wipers with your knees or skip that part. And then we're either going to stay for a seated cat and cow, or you can come to hands and knees. So I'll start with the seated version. So for your seated cat and cow, you can come into what we call Sukhasana, or even sitting on a chair if sitting on the floor isn't working for you. And then we'll inhale, lift the heart forward. Exhale, round the spine back. So you're kind of rocking forward and back from your navel center or from your heart, and maybe rocking on those sit bones. If you don't mind being on hands and knees, you can always pad the knees with a little bit of support from maybe the cushion. So you could unfold your blanket to create a little cushion space for your knees if you don't mind being on hands and knees. And remember, if you're in Sukhasana, you could always open the legs out wide if you prefer not to be with full bent knees. Sometimes I like to use the blocks to support my forearms instead of being on the wrists. So it just depends on how your wrists are feeling. I have the blocks on the medium setting for my forearms, and then we'll inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart and the tailbone for cow pose, and then exhale to round into the spine, drawing the belly up towards the spine. Go ahead and take a few more rounds of breath in either position. After a few rounds, you might allow yourself to draw some nice big circles with the belly button. Tracing the inside of a hula hoop. If you're tracing a circle with the belly button in one direction, go ahead and reverse the direction when you feel ready. Stretching into all the corners of your spine. We'll come back to center. Maybe you want to wag the tail a little side to side if you're in hands and knees. If you're seated, go ahead and find a forward fold, bending from the hips. If you're in hands and knees, you might try a child's pose, or maybe you prefer a downward dog if you want to be off of the knees. So for child's pose, you can bring the big toes to touch, open the knees out wide, sink the hips back, and walk the hands out in front. If this feels like too much compression on the knees, you could also just come onto the belly, because we are going to be ending up in the belly, on the belly soon. So if that feels better for the knees, maybe coming all the way down onto the belly, and feel free to clear the blanket off to the side if it's in the way. If you're coming onto the belly, you might stack the palms, lower the forehead down to rest your forehead. And you could do the same thing in child's pose or from a seat. Take some nice, deep, softening breaths and feel the rise and fall of your back body. For those of you who've taken the downward dog option, you could plant your palms on the floor or on the seat of a chair. You might sashay the hips a little side to side. And you can always change your mind. Exploring either options. If you're in downward dog or child's pose, let's come forward for a moment into a plank, building a little bit of heat, and you have the option to come into a plank on your knees and or your forearms. So you might just spend a little bit of time, a few breaths in any version of a plank. It's finding a little bit of heat and strength from your core. And then whenever you're ready, we'll all meet up on our bellies. Go ahead and sashay your hips a little side to side. Untuck your toes. We'll plant the elbows underneath the shoulders, pressing your palms into the mat for a sphinx pose, a little back bend. You can start to glide your forearms and your hands back. Well, not really glide them, but kind of traction them on the mat in order to get a little bit more leverage to lift the heart forward for your back bend. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to soften all the way down into crocodile pose, Makrasana. So you can stack the palms, allow the forehead to come all the way down and rest on the back of your hands. Soften all of your effort. If it would feel good, you might bend the knees and just allow the heels to tick-tock side to side. It might feel like a nice massage for the low belly, maybe the thighs. And then we'll come back to stillness, releasing the feet to back down to the mat. We'll pick up the head, slide the hands back towards the hips, and you can either have the palms facing up or you could flip the palms so they're facing down, and this might allow you to have a little bit more support. Pressing the palms into the mat, you could start to lift the torso, or the chest rather, lift the legs to float, and we're coming into a flying locust pose. So allowing your body to hover over the earth, using the strength of your spine, your core, maybe even your glutes to lift you upright. Then on the next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the left, lower your right temple down to the mat, or maybe a block if you need more space. Maybe find a nice gentle twist for the neck. Just a little bit gazing to the side, a gentle pressure against the right temple from the earth or the block. And then you could flip the palms and really allow yourself to settle here, softening all of your effort. We're going to do that locust pose one more time. So you could do that same version or keep your palms face up. And as you inhale, lift the torso, bring the gaze to the front of your mat. This time you might float your palms and you could even swim them forward, reaching them past the ears. Take some nice deep breaths here, and maybe you even find some movement floating the arms forward and back. The next time your hands come towards your hips, you can soften the back of the hands down. We'll turn the gaze this time to the right, bringing the left temple to kiss the mat or a block. Allow all of your effort to soften. Relax your glutes. Soften through your jaw. Feel the strong support of the earth as you relax all effort. From here, we'll come back to center, and this time we're going to just bring the arms forward and bring the arms out beside you in a letter T shape. So I'm going to stretch my right arm directly behind me. You can't see it because my body's in the way, but I have my palm face down, and then I'll bring my left palm underneath my shoulder and start to creep your right fingers out to the side as you roll onto your right side. This could be another good opportunity for the block. Maybe you rest it right underneath your head, and hopefully you're feeling a nice opening through the front of the chest, maybe in the shoulders. You could stay right here if you'd like to make this twist a little bit deeper. You could bend your top knee and then plant the foot behind you. Another option would be to reach down with your top hand and grab hold of your bottom ankle, or sorry, the top ankle. So that's my left hand grabbing hold of the left ankle. And you might flex your toes towards your knee, allowing the knees to stack. So you might be getting a stretch through the chest, the shoulder, and then maybe even the quad here for the leg. But remembering that there's no finish line, all of these extra ideas are just options. When you're ready, we'll release that foot, stacking both feet. You can roll back onto the belly, and then we're going to get ready for the other side. So stretching the left arm out to the left, you can press your right hand underneath your shoulder and then creep the left fingertips directly behind you as you roll onto your left side. You might find a pillow or support for underneath the head, and you can leave the legs stacked. This is enough, maybe. If you want to take it a little deeper, maybe you bend into that top knee, touching the foot behind the bottom leg, or you could try that quad stretch, reaching down with your right hand to grab hold of your right ankle, just flexing the toes a little bit towards the knee, allowing the knees to stack one on top of the other. All of these things are optional. Maybe it's enough to just stretch through the pecs, the front of the chest. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can release the ankle if you're in that bind. We'll roll onto the belly. Press the palms underneath the shoulders, and you can press up into tabletop. Or if you're wanting to avoid the knees altogether, you could roll onto your back and then press up to a seat. From here, we're going to come into a downward dog if you like. So you might tuck the toes under, lift the knees, press the hips up and back, and you can always make this downward dog a little bit gentler with the blocks or maybe the chair. So I'll show with the chair. So I'm going to bring the chair, bring my hands to the seat of the chair, and then walk my hips back to lengthen through the spine. We call this chair dog. Wherever you're at, take a moment to sashay the hips, and remember that you can always skip downward dog altogether and come into a forward fold. That's where we're going next. So find yourself in a forward fold when you're ready, either walking your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. And if you're using blocks, you might bring them underneath the palms of the hands on the high setting. From here, we'll press into the blocks, your shins or the seat of the chair, and then inhale to lift your spine up halfway. Lengthen from your tail to your crown, keeping a soft gaze down at the ground for length through the back of your neck. On the next exhale, go ahead and release that, coming back into your forward fold. And then let's press into the tops of our thighs. Imagine there was a seat right behind you, and you could start to bend the knees for a chair pose. Pressing into your thighs, you might lift the torso, and we can find chair, which we call Utkatasana or fierce pose. When you're ready, you can lengthen the legs, bring the spine up tall. Come to stand in your mountain pose. I'm just going to clear these things out of the way so you can see my whole body here. Take a moment to pause in mountain pose. Feel your feet rooting down on the earth, and then find a slight tuck in your tail so that you can draw your belly in towards your spine. So you're engaging maybe your low abs to help support your low back. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. Relax your hands at your sides. And then from here, we'll sweep the arms up towards the sky. And then we're going to find that chair pose once more. So you can start to engage your belly, bend into your knees. Imagine there was a chair right behind you that you were about ready to sit on. And you can bend the knees, sink back any amount. On your next inhale, we'll come up tall, reach your fingertips up, and then maybe lift onto the balls of your toes. Balls of your feet, really, I guess. And then we'll try that 2 more times, coming down into a chair. Rising up onto the balls of the toes. And then 1 more time, chair Utkatasana, and rising up. Go ahead and exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. And maybe lay your hands right on top of your heart. Feel the beaming glow from your heart, that intention, non-possessiveness, maybe Aparigraha. And then when you're ready, we'll sweep the arms out wide to the sides. We're going to wrap the right arm over the top of the left. Give yourself a nice big hug. You can squeeze the shoulders, maybe rock the elbows a little side to side. Give yourself that loving, warm embrace. And then you can leave your arms right like they are, or we can wrap them for a bind. This is called eagle arms. And you can either stay right here or here, standing upright, or you could bend again into that chair. And it could be a very, very slight bend in the knees. Or if you want to work on balance here, we're going to try eagle pose, Garudasana. So you're going to be balancing on the right foot. And so I'm going to just kick anything off to the side. Find yourself rooted down with your feet, and you can bend the left foot, or sorry, come up onto the ball of the left toes and really just rooting down on your right leg. You could lift the left leg and wrap it around the right leg. And it's really helpful for any balance to find a dristi. It's going to be a soft focal point, a gaze, maybe on the ground or at the horizon, and just notice what is required for balance. When you're ready, we'll unwrap the legs, step them out wide, spread your eagle arms out, and then just shake it all off. We call that one Garudasana, eagle pose. Letting your bird arms flap freely. Little twist. Let's come back to center now, letting it slow down, and find your mountain pose Tadasana. Feel your feet rooting down on the earth. Allow a slight tuck in the tailbone as you recruit your low belly to support your low back. Allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears. And feel your heart rise, beaming out the light of your intention. Now let's spread the arms out wide to the side. This time we're going to find the opposite, hug. So maybe this time you want to think of somebody you'd like to send a warm blessing to. You could wrap this time the left arm over the top of the right. Find that nice big hug in the space between your shoulder blades, and maybe even give a little rock from side to side. You could stay right here, or you might wrap your arms into eagle arms. So I'm bringing my right fingertips to hook onto my left palm. And you could stay right here or come into a chair pose, Utkatasana, bending into the knees, recruiting the low belly for support. It could be a very small chair. It could even be sitting on a chair. Or if you want to try the balance pose instead, we'll bring the weight of the body into the left leg. Just peel your right heel up off of the mat, and you could stay right here, or you might try wrapping your right leg around your left. Find some nice deep breaths with your dristi, your soft, gentle gaze, your focal point. Whenever you're ready, we'll land both feet on the mat. Open your arms out wide to the side and then shake it all off. I got a nice little crack in the back. Felt really good. A little adjustment. When you're ready, we'll come back to stillness. Allow that to shake off. And then we're going to find warrior one. So you're going to step your left foot back or your right foot forward to come into a bit of a lunge. From here, you could bring your hands to your hips. You could invite them to meet at your heart, or you might lift them, floating them up towards the sky as you reach your heart up, maybe even lifting the gaze. You could stay right here, or on your next exhale, you might sweep your arms back, lean your torso forward, and then inhale, coming back to warrior one. Let's do that 2 more times if you like. And then the next time your hands come back up to the sky, you can float them down towards your hips. You might interlace them behind you or grab onto the back of your shirt or a strap between the hands. And then we're going to come into a humble warrior. So take a nice deep breath, inhaling to lift the heart. And as you exhale, lead forward with the heart. Hinging from the hips, you can allow the torso to rest on your front thigh. You could frame your feet with your hands, your front foot with your hands, or if you're interlacing your hands behind you, maybe it feels good to stretch them, allowing them to fall overhead. And then on the next exhale, we'll lower the hands down to the ground or to blocks or to a chair. And then you can pivot onto the ball of the back toes. And then we'll go ahead and bring both feet to meet, coming into our forward fold. You might hear wrap your opposite arms around your elbows, gently ragdolling side to side. And then we'll bring the hands to the shins, the chair or blocks. Press into support to inhale, lift up halfway, exhale to forward fold. And then go ahead and find that Utkatasana chair, bending into the knees, bringing the hands to the heart or to the thighs, and then we'll rise up to stand. And we're going to get ready for warrior one on the other side. So this time I'm going to step the left foot forward, the right foot feet back. I'm going to bring my blocks with me for later. So you're coming into a lunge with your hands on your hips or at your heart, or floating your hands up towards the sky, lifting the heart, maybe even lifting the gaze. We could try that sort of victory lunge by swimming the hands back behind you, leaning the torso forward. And then 2 more times like this. Inhale back to center, warrior one. Virabhadrasana one. Exhale to lean forward, spreading the hands back behind you. Soaring free, just like a bird. One last time like this. And then we'll inhale to come back to warrior one. You can reach the hands beside you. You can either bring them to your hips, interlace them behind your low back, or tug on your shirt or strap here. And then we're going to find humble warrior. So, and also I'm interlacing the hands in the opposite way I did before, just to have practice symmetry. So we'll inhale, lifting the heart, exhale, hinge forward, allowing your torso to rest on your front thigh. We call this humble warrior. And you might stretch your arms overhead, or if you want a little bit more support, bring your hands down to rest on the ground or blocks. We'll take one more nice deep breath. Then you can pivot onto the ball of the back toes, come into a lunge. And then when you're ready, hop the back foot forward to meet the front, coming into a forward fold. From here, we'll plant our palms on the ground, step the feet back, and then we're going to lower down we're going to eventually come back onto our seat. So if it feels okay, you can lower the knees gently, walk them forward, and we'll come onto the seat. And we're going to be coming back onto our bellies next. So from here, you can hug your knees into the chest, roll onto the back, and then either hug behind your knees opening the knees towards the armpits, or you could start to walk your hands up onto your shins, your ankles, maybe grabbing hold of the outside edge of your feet for happy baby pose. And it might feel good to rock a little side to side, stretching one leg long. I like to fall onto one knee for support, stretching the opposite leg long. But do what serves you best. We're getting ready to wind down for our final resting pose, Shavasana. But I like to encourage you, if there are any shapes that you know are your absolute favorite, maybe you want to take a moment to include them before your final rest. And there's no need to rush. So give yourself plenty of time. You could also just include an extra bit of Shavasana here. It might be nice to bring a pillow or something like a rolled blanket or a nice big bolster if you have one underneath the knees, if you're going to stretch your legs out long. You could also drape a blanket over the body. And if you're using a strap, maybe you can find a way to block the light by draping the strap over your eyes. In my yoga mat in my car, I keep an eye pillow, and that's just a little sandbag to drape over the eyes to help shut out the light. You could also turn down the lights. Another option would be to come back into that same position we started in. That can be a little bit gentler on the low back. That's the constructive rest with your back flat on the mat and then your knees tented in with your feet on the mat. As you begin to arrive into your final resting pose, if you're there, can you invite your forehead to soften? Maybe you can close down the delicate lids of your eyes like soft blankets, tucking your eyes in for rest. You might loosen the hinge of your jaw, noticing if there's any tension there. You can invite to release. Allow your shoulders to rest heavy on the earth. And as you begin to arrive in your final rest, corpse pose, I'll leave you with another quote. You might just allow these words to fall over you like gentle drops of rain. Non-attachment does not mean we don't care or that we somehow shut ourselves off from the pleasure and joy of life and each other. In fact, non-attachment frees us up to be immersed in appreciation of life and one another. We are asked to let go of the clinging to the thing, not the enjoyment of the thing itself. Letting go of the ownership opens us up to full engagement with what is set out before us in the present moment. Life becomes a banquet, and we are free to feast. Like the breath, we are invited to breathe in deeply, enjoy the fullness of the inhalation, and then let go deeply and fully, enjoying the release of the exhalation. The fewer attachments we carry with us, the more we are free to enjoy and engage and live every moment before us to the fullest. The more breath we let go of, the more room there is in our body for the fullness of the next inhalation. The more we generously share and give away, the more expansive and light we become. The journey of life is towards freedom. A bird cannot hold its perch and fly. Neither can we grasp anything and be free. Practicing constant generosity and unfailing trust will keep our greed in check and keep us open to life's unfolding. What wants to come to us is so great, and what we hold on to is often so small. Like the trapeze artists, are we willing to be suspended in midair in total trust of the timing and of a future that is greater than the one we are holding on to? Take a moment to deepen your breath. You might start to gently reawaken the body by stretching long, reaching your fingers past your ears, finding a long body stretch, and then rotating the fingers and the wrists and the ankles, wiggling the toes. Feel free to roll onto one side and cradle your head on top of your upper arm, coming into a fetal position. Allow yourself a few rounds of breath to rest there, cradled in Earth's embrace. And when you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. You might invite your hands to come and meet at your heart center in a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. Imagining your hands just like the flame of that light, your flickering heart. You might allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice. Thank you, everyone, for being with me. And feel free to hang around after class if you have any thoughts or questions or special requests for next time.